The story begins in 1977 in a building in the Middle East where Harry was interrogating a man. Suddenly, he noticed a pin in the man's mouth, and seeing it, Lee jumped onto the man to save his companions. This was followed by a massive explosion in which Lee lost his life. Harry, Merlin, and Lancelot were deeply moved by Lee's bravery. After this, Harry went to London to meet Lee's widow, Michelle, at her house. He gave her a special medal that had some numbers written on the back, which she could use if she ever needed help. However, Michelle refused to accept the medal, so Harry gave it to Lee's son, Eggsy, thinking he might need it someday. 17 years later in Argentina, Professor Arnold was held hostage by some people who were waiting for their boss to arrive. Just then, they heard a knock on the door, and when one man opened it, Lancelot was standing there. In the very next second, he attacked that man and went on to kill everyone in the room one by one. Suddenly, Lancelot heard another knock on the door, and as he went to open it, a woman named Gazelle cut him in 2 pieces with her blade-fitted legs. After killing him, Gazelle covered the bodies with a cloth and opened the door for her boss, Valentine. As Valentine entered the room, he immediately said to the professor, "Sorry, Professor, I really don't like violence, but sometimes when things don't work out the easy way, you have to bend the rules." Meanwhile, in London, Harry arrived at a tailor shop that was actually the Kingsman headquarters. Arthur was already seated at the head of the table, and everyone there was using special glasses to see and talk to each other. During the meeting, Harry insisted that they should definitely avenge their friend's death. Merlin agreed and said that Professor Arnold had been kidnapped and they needed to rescue him as soon as possible. After Lancelot's death, there was now an empty spot in Kingsman. Harry said he knew someone who could fill that spot. By this time, Eggsy had grown up and was living in a small house with his mother, Michelle, and her new husband, Dean. But Eggsy and Dean didn't get along at all and often argued. After one such argument, Eggsy went to a bar with his friends to drink. However, this time, Dean had told his friend Rottweiler and some other guys to beat up Eggsy. Rottweiler and his gang started harassing Eggsy, but amidst this fight, Eggsy somehow managed to steal Rottweiler's car keys. He ran outside and started driving the car wildly. When Rottweiler found out, he immediately called Dean to inform him. Meanwhile, the police also started chasing Eggsy, and to escape, he drove the car in reverse gear. But in the process, he accidentally crashed the car. Despite this, he didn't stop and tried to escape again, eventually ramming into a police car. He was caught and taken to the police station, where a detective was questioning him, but Eggsy refused to reveal anything. Then, Eggsy suddenly remembered the medal and quickly called the number written on the back. However, the woman who answered hung up without even listening to his whole story. Eggsy felt for a moment that he had been stupid to carry the medal around for so long. But the very next second, the police station received a call, and Eggsy was immediately released. As he walked out of the police station, he met Harry, who had been waiting for him. They went to a bar to talk, and Harry told Eggsy about his father's bravery, how Lee had saved his life. Harry also mentioned that Eggsy had quit his studies and was now involved in petty theft. Just then, Dean's men arrived at the bar to beat up Eggsy and called Harry an old man, telling him to leave. Harry calmly walked towards the door, but instead of leaving, he locked it and started beating up the thugs. Even though he was alone, the thugs couldn't stand against him for long. After defeating them, Harry used a tranquilizer dart on the bartender to erase his memory. As he turned back to Eggsy, Eggsy quickly said, "I won't tell anyone. Please don't knock me out." Harry was pleased and, before leaving, praised Eggsy. Meanwhile, on the news, Valentine was talking about a movie based on his life. Back at home, when Eggsy returned, Dean started beating him badly and demanded to know about the old man who had beaten up his men. Eggsy refused to tell him anything. On the other side, Harry was listening to everything through a microphone hidden on Eggsy's back. When the situation got worse, Harry stepped in and threatened to kill Dean if he didn't leave Eggsy alone. As Eggsy left the house, he found some thugs waiting outside for him. To escape them, he started climbing walls and doing parkour, narrowly managing to get away. He eventually reached a tailor shop, where Harry was already waiting for him. When Eggsy arrived, Harry took him to a back room and asked if he wanted to change his life forever. Harry explained that if Eggsy became a member of Kingsman, his life would completely turn around. Eggsy agreed, and Harry led him through a secret passage while explaining that Kingsman was actually the world's most dangerous intelligence agency. They took a bullet train to a large mansion far away from the city, where Eggsy saw the Kingsman base for the first time. Merlin then took him to a room where 8 other candidates were already present. Only one of them would become a Kingsman member. Merlin told them that this was going to be the most dangerous job interview in the world. As they left the room, all the candidates introduced themselves. Eggsy quickly realized that he was very different from the rest. That night, as everyone was getting ready to sleep, suddenly water started flooding into the room rapidly, and within moments, they were all submerged. Everyone was trying to make oxygen masks, but Eggsy noticed a glass panel and tried to break it. On the other side of the glass, Merlin was standing, and as he stepped aside, the glass shattered. Merlin praised Eggsy for his quick thinking and informed them all that they had failed their first test because they had left one of their teammates to die. After that, All the candidates immediately understood that this exam was not going to be a joke. Meanwhile, Professor Arnold had gone back to his work, where he met Harry. Harry knew that Professor Arnold must have given very important information to the kidnappers. That was the only reason he would have been released. But when the professor, lovingly, refused to reveal anything, Harry started pulling his ear. But in the very next second, there was an explosion in the professor's head, after which two men suddenly attacked Harry, forcing him to escape through the window. On the other side, Valentine was happy to know that his security measures had worked. As soon as Valentine learned about this, he immediately ordered his men to find out who the man was and also instructed them to complete their covert mission as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Merlin informed all the candidates that they would each have to adopt a puppy, which would stay with them throughout their entire training. Harry, on the other hand, was hospitalized due to the attack on him. Soon, Eggsy learned that Harry had been seriously injured on a mission and was in the hospital. When Eggsy went to visit him, Merlin told him to focus only on his training. But the training wasn't going so well because Eggsy's puppy was very lazy. Meanwhile, Valentine was watching chips being manufactured in his factory. Back at the academy, Harry regained consciousness, and the training for all the candidates was in full swing. We also learned that Valentine was a very influential man. One night, he was having dinner with the Scandinavian princess, where the princess told him that his plan was completely foolish. But on the other hand, the prime minister was very impressed by Valentine's plan. After the princess interrupted Valentine and left, she was attacked, making it impossible for her to survive. Meanwhile, the prime minister had a chip implanted near his ear, after which Valentine congratulated him for becoming part of the project. Harry had fully recovered by then and congratulated Eggsy on making it to the top 6. At that moment, Merlin showed them a video and explained that the professor's death was actually caused by an implanted chip near his ear, something that Valentine had placed there. Hearing this, Eggsy told them about a news report he had seen a few days earlier. Apparently, Valentine was distributing free SIM cards around the world that came with free internet access. It wasn't Valentine who gave them out to us, it was Ambani. Hearing this news, Harry now wanted to meet Valentine one more time, and Merlin was given the responsibility for this. The next day, the top 6 contestants had a very dangerous test. They had to jump from the sky and land on a particular target, all while avoiding radar detection. As soon as they got the signal, everyone jumped without thinking twice. However, Roxy got scared for a moment, but she still decided to follow Eggsy. In the middle of the sky, Merlin informed them that one of their bags didn't have a parachute. Hearing this, Eggsy told everyone to pair up, but some of them decided it was better to fail the test than risk their lives. One by one, they started opening their parachutes, and finally, only Roxy and Eggsy were left. When they cleared the radar detection, Eggsy opened Roxy's parachute, and both of them landed safely on the target. After the test, Merlin passed Eggsy and Roxy, but Eggsy asked why his own bag didn't have a parachute. Merlin replied that every bag had a parachute. This was just a test to trick their minds. That night, Harry went to a charity event hosted by Valentine, where he learned that Harry had donated so much money that Valentine canceled the entire party and took him to a special room. Gazelle came in with food for the two of them. While eating, Harry and Valentine had a bit of a chat, but suddenly Valentine asked, "Have you ever seen spy movies?" After this question, they began talking as if they both knew the other's true identity. After saying goodbye to Harry, Gazelle asked Valentine why he let him go. Valentine replied that he had put a micro-nano chip in Harry's drink. Meanwhile, Harry also learned that Valentine was connected to a church group. On the other side, Valentine met with the Scandinavian princess again, who was still refusing to accept his conditions. Valentine had also captured several other famous people at that location. Meanwhile, there was a rush at stores for Valentine's free SIM cards. Back at Kingsman headquarters, Merlin gave the 3 candidates photos of their targets, who they had to defeat to pass the test. But when they reached a club to carry out the mission, they were suddenly knocked unconscious after drinking something. When Eggsy woke up, he found himself tied to train tracks, where a man was asking him about Kingsman. But Eggsy refused to tell him anything. Just then, a train passed over him, but nothing happened to him. Actually, that was the real test, which Eggsy passed. Charlie, however, did not pass this test. Meanwhile, Valentine's main project had reached the testing stage. After Eggsy's outstanding performance, Harry took him to a tailor shop because he wanted to gift him a bulletproof suit. But he took him to room number 3, where various kinds of weapons were kept. As they were leaving the room, they bumped into Valentine, who was there to get a suit made for himself. After talking to Harry, Valentine quietly left, and during this time, Harry planted a very small microphone on his body. After this, Eggsy met Arthur, who handed him a gun and told him to shoot his puppy. Meanwhile, Merlin told Roxy to do the same. Eggsy pointed the gun at the puppy, but he refused to shoot and handed the gun back to Arthur. At the same time, they heard a gunshot from Roxy's room, after which Arthur told Eggsy to go back home. Roxy was then recruited under the name Lancelot. After returning home, Eggsy didn't want to return to his old life at any cost. He met his mother, who had a bruise near her eye. Eggsy wasn't going to tolerate this anymore, so he went straight to confront Dean. But as soon as Dean sent his men inside to deal with him, Eggsy's car suddenly drove itself straight to Harry. Harry scolded Eggsy for a long time, telling him not to pull the trigger. But later, he revealed that this was also the final test. All the people who had died during these tests weren't actually dead, they were all alive. At that moment, Merlin contacted Harry and told him about what Valentine was saying to someone, that now their Sims had spread all over the world, and if their church trial succeeded, they would launch their plan. Hearing this, Harry immediately set out to check on that church group he had heard about. There, Baster was shouting loudly, expressing his hatred towards the American government, and at that very moment, Valentine, sitting 1,000 feet away, launched the program using his Sims. Immediately afterward, a woman began screaming at Harry, and Harry shot her dead right away. This triggered a war inside the church, where people wanted to kill Harry. But this wasn't easy, and Harry, like a wild animal, began slaughtering everyone. Merlin couldn't stop him even if he wanted to, and Valentine was determined to eliminate Harry at any cost. But despite everything, Harry became the only person to come out of that church alive. Seeing this, both Eggsy and Merlin were shocked. As soon as Harry stepped out of the church, Valentine greeted him with his two gunners. There, Valentine explained that his Sims trigger the anger inside people, which allows him to unleash chaos everywhere. After that, Valentine started talking again about how, in spy movies, the spy always manages to survive in the end, but this time, it wouldn't be the same. And the very next second, he shot Harry. No one could believe it. Back at headquarters, Merlin and Eggsy were deeply saddened by Harry's death. Eggsy could still hear Harry's voice in his head, and so he went to meet Arthur. Arthur told him that they now had Valentine's statement, which gave the police solid evidence. From here on, they would handle the matter. Then Arthur invited Eggsy to sit down for a drink. While doing so, Eggsy noticed the same implant mark on Arthur's neck that he had seen earlier. Seeing this, Eggsy distracted Arthur and swapped their drinks. As soon as Eggsy finished his glass, Arthur told him that his drink was poisoned. Now he had only two choices, either join Valentine's project or God's project. According to Arthur, the Earth wanted to eliminate the virus living within it, which was none other than humans themselves. And according to Valentine, the only way to save Earth from destruction was to wipe out the human race. But even after listening to all of Arthur's speech, Eggsy was not ready to join him. Arthur then activated the poison, but it didn't affect Eggsy. Instead, it hit Arthur because Eggsy had switched their drinks. As Arthur died, Eggsy quickly removed the chip implanted in his neck. Meanwhile, only 6 hours remained until the entire world's Sims would be activated. As soon as Merlin learned about Arthur's demise, he decided to carry out the mission with just Roxy and Eggsy. Afterward, they boarded a private plane where Merlin told them that their first task was to destroy one of Valentine's satellites. This would give Merlin enough time to break into the main system and shut it down. Roxy was assigned to destroy the satellite, and as soon as she reached the atmosphere, she had to attack the satellite. After dropping Roxy off, Eggsy had to use Arthur's invitation to infiltrate Valentine's base. Meanwhile, Valentine was giving everyone a motivational speech about how they needed to celebrate the deaths of the people who were about to die. Eggsy was fully prepared, wearing the suit that Harry had given him. As soon as they reached the safe house, they were given permission to land. By then, Eggsy had already sensed the danger that awaited. After landing, Merlin took the plane to a base, and as Eggsy got off, he showed Arthur's invitation card. They were then led to the main hall. Only 18 minutes remained, so he had to reach the control room as soon as possible. At that time, Roxy was just about to fire the missile when Eggsy knocked out the Scandinavian Prime Minister and gave Merlin access. But just before she could fire, Roxy's balloon burst. Meanwhile, Charlie had captured Eggsy and reported him to Valentine. However, Eggsy electrocuted Charlie and knocked him out. Before the second balloon could burst, Roxy fired the missile. Because of all this, Valentine changed the timer from 16 minutes to 2 minutes. Back at the base, Merlin was preparing the plane and was guiding Eggsy on how to escape. Eggsy was moving towards the plane, killing people as he went because they had only 1 minute left. Roxy was also plummeting rapidly back to Earth, but just then, the missile hit the satellite directly, which stopped the countdown altogether. At that moment, Merlin spotted a biometric lock and gave Eggsy several weapon options, telling him that under no circumstances should Valentine's hands touch the computer. Eggsy immediately picked up an umbrella gun and, as soon as he stepped out, began killing all the soldiers. Meanwhile, Valentine was busy trying to fix his satellite. Eggsy was desperately fighting off hordes of soldiers all at once. There were so many soldiers that they completely surrounded him at one point. Eggsy then told Roxy that if he didn't survive today, she should save his mother, Michelle, from his stepfather. He also asked Merlin to activate the chips in the soldiers. A few seconds later, suddenly, all the soldiers and everyone present in the hall began to die on their own. In fact, Merlin had used Valentine's own chips to kill his guards. But Valentine had not implanted any chip in himself, and he declared that no matter what they did, they couldn't stop him. With that, Valentine activated his system, which caused all the Sims worldwide to become active, and people everywhere started killing each other like crazy. Eggsy immediately went to the control room and began firing, which temporarily paused the sim activation. Just then, Gazelle appeared to kill Eggsy, and the two of them launched a brutal attack on each other. Valentine used this opportunity to start the sim activation once again, turning fields across the world into battlefields. Eggsy was fully aware of this and decided to end the fight for good. He used his special shoes to deliver a poisonous blow to Gazelle's hand, which was enough to kill her. Afterward, he used Gazelle's blade-like legs to attack Valentine, finally stopping the bloodshed that had erupted around the world. With Eggsy's mission complete, everyone was overjoyed. After fixing everything, when Eggsy returned home, he saw Michelle sitting with Dean. Eggsy told his mother that he had a new job and had also gotten a new house where they would be living from now on. But Dean stopped Michelle from leaving. At that moment, Eggsy, just like Harry would have done, went to the door and locked it so that he could teach Dean a lesson. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.